And we're back for our game 3 out of 4 on the day. It's Invictus Gaming versus LGD Gaming. Both teams are 2-2 in the group stage, which puts them firmly in the middle. And I would say, Blaze, out of all the big name teams in China, these two are the ones that I'm personally most concerned about. Newbie looks solid against HGT, but IG and LGD, it's not just that their records aren't fantastic, it's more like the way they've lost. They've looked sloppy, they've looked distracted, they have not looked like teams just absolutely stocked to the brim with TI caliber players or players that have played at the biggest stages in the past. Cheesebug, of course, for those who don't know him, has played with IG for several years, back in the old days, before the IG of TI2, and then also played for them at WCG. Multiple years in a row, did quite well there. June is the one player who hasn't been seen as much in the international stage, but everyone on LGD is a big name as well, outside of maybe in July. I mean, these guys should be playing like absolute champs, and if you just go about name recognition, but neither team has really looked that sharp, to be totally honest.
Yeah, I mean, we're bringing some pretty high expectations into it just based on the players and, of course, the brand. LGD and IG are ones that have been in the Dota scene for quite some time and obviously have churned out some really good results in the past. So right now they're in a bit of a slump, but I mean, I don't know how that's going to really be kicked into gear if it's going to have to require the whole Chinese New Year break and shuffle, or if they are going to be able to re-enable themselves for this tournament and for everything coming up in the next month or two. So we'll see. For right now, Invictus Gaming, yeah, they're trying to pull ahead. They're going to be going for an interesting strategy here, banning out the MMY Tusk and letting them pick up the Lycan instead. So they knew the Lycan would pretty much be obligatory for the pickup of LGD, and they answered back with the Death Prophet Shadow Shaman, so some push on both sides. But I think the one thing to note here is that not only do IG respect MMY's potential on the Tusk, but they also might kind of fear Sylar if he goes for a late game hero. They might say, okay, well, he can farm insanely well. He can go hardcore with scaling late game. And I think that putting him on an early game emphasis hero like Lycan or Viper is going to make it so that IG kind of feel a little bit more in control of the situation, at least as long as they can hold the push.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And, oh, excuse me. For LGD, obviously, tons of push, but very little control to date. And IG do get some powerful lockdown for the Lycan. The Hex, not as great, but if you get it off before he shapeshifts, obviously can be strong, and the Shackles. And so far, LGD have no way to cancel Shackles, so obviously we'll see them pick up at least one stun here, I imagine, yet it does give them some flexibility. And for LGD, what direction do they go? The really aggressive supports in the Tusk of the Skyrith are removed, but your second tier of aggression, well, I don't know if I'd even say second tier, but there's still other options like that out there. Mirana is a big one, is a little single target heavy for LGD, and if they want some team fight control, I guess Earthshaker's the big AoE stunner available. There's also a Jakiro if they want to run a core who has some lockdown, but who's not like necessarily a hard team fight oriented one. Tide, Doom. There's still plenty of team fight control here for LGD, and the question's going to be if they want to go that route. But I do like this Brew pick. Gives you tons of lockdown for Lycan. The Haze is fantastic versus him, and it's a tank that can withstand the pummeling that Lycan is sure to push out.
Most definitely. And I think the Brew is just like at a perfect time here. When they banned out the Centaur, the Void was taken off the table, and we already see the Skywrath negated. The only real way to feel great about it is to going up against Brewmaster is to pick up a Doom. But starting with your first three as Lycan, Viper, and Doom is really asynchronous. They go in and they say, okay, well, I'm going to go Devour and I'm going to build up gold that way. Well, I'm Lycan, I want to push towers. Well, I'm Viper, I want to control the lanes. Like, they all have different objectives and they're all very greedy. So opening your draft that way just doesn't really accomplish much. And yeah, they're going to just have to fall back to the supports. Lion is still very excellent, has stuns, as you mentioned, that's very important up against Shadow Shaman and now Brewmaster. The Hex might actually come into play here. And yeah, MMY is very renowned for his Lion. So I think that's a strong pick and not necessarily one that IG should have banned, but definitely something that LGD should have looked to pick up.
Yeah, they would have probably rather had the Shadow Shaman, but it's obviously not an option. And it does give them a double stun, potentially. I'm curious if MMI will have that explosive start that I've seen him do a lot in the past in DK, but IG, it's one focus right now. 5-man push. That is the goal for them. Looking like a core Jakiro here with the Shaman already picked up, and I think we'll see another support for them. I am curious what that's going to be. They could go for some arrow setup if they want something that goes through magic immunity and control. They could go more for like a Bane. Potentially something like a Rubik, but yeah, I'm even thinking that All that IG really needs to do is get their levels in Star 5 many. Blink Dagger on Brew, Death Prophet Yules, and just
Ooh.
force the issue.
Warlock's gonna be a nice little wrench in the works here. LGD are trying to disrupt what IG are intending to do, and the big deal here is just how hard it's gonna be able to push up against the Warlock in general. I mean, Fatal Bonds is one thing, but Upheaval and the Chaotic Offering is a whole another one. In general, IG, like you said, they want a Death Ball, they want to get early tempo, maybe go into the Roche Pit relatively early, and with Warlock here, that's not going to be all that easy. He's a good here to have in a defensive position. He still needs a level advantage, but when it comes down to it, IG are not going to feel as confident walking into this ultimate as they would against many other heroes. So I think it's really solid. They still contemplate their bans and decide on taking out the Bristleback here, but yeah, I really think the Warlock has a lot of potency, and they could easily make the lanes work for them if they run the Titan style, which is Lycan's off lane, which is it's weird, but he comes back so easily that all he needs is levels for the wolves. But if they don't want to do that, then maybe they could run something like an Enigma in the off lane. I'm a real proponent of Midnight Pulse plus Upheaval. I think it's probably one of the more insane things for against teams that don't have a max movement speed mechanic. But we'll see how they want to finalize their draft. For now, it's going to be the Doom ban.
Yeah, and I'm curious if there's any chance we see a core Warlock here and they go for something else as a support. Viper obviously can be the mid. Night lane's pretty well against Death Prophet. But there is room to pick up a different support, something to go with the line, and run the Warlock as a farmer. If they run Warlock Lion as their double supports, that is
Oh yeah.
incredibly greedy. And we've seen games where Warlock supports just don't get level 6 in a timely fashion, Blaze. And even if they do, if they don't get it quick enough, and IG have a lot of early
gosh.
towers, then they're tanky. And IG go for lane dominance here. They'll pick up an Undying. This will pair up nicely with the Jakiro. And we might well see just some dual lanes from them. The Shaman plus the Brew, the Jakiro plus the Undying. And there is some tri-lane potential as well. Depends what they expect from LGD's lanes. But it's one thing's for sure. IG, they want to win this one fast.
Yeah, most definitely. They're just going to be ramping up the pressure insanely fast. And I think the support Warlock would be a huge mistake in that regard. Getting no level 6 for an extended period of time would be very problematic. So they're going to go with another core hero, though. Angela is going to be running this Darkseer. And that would imply to me that the Warlock is, in fact, support, which will work okay if he can get a kill or something in the early game. But barring that, he's going to have a hard time finding the ultimate and contributing to the early fights.
And with that, the Darkseer selected. They have a pretty decent backbone of their team fights here, but it is a support Warlock and
The
a support
Tombstone's going
Lion.
to tear them apart, I think. Like,
I
they
think
don't
this
have
is
any
just
way
too greedy, man. I'm not sure about LGD.
Yeah. Their right clicks are okay. Like Lion and Warlock actually have decent base damage, but I still think this Tombstone's going to be, as it gets maxed out, just a little bit too much for them to deal with. They don't have any zombie clear. They don't have that much focus until Lycan gets his wolves up. So I think the Tombstone's going to be a thorn in their side. And if this tri lane or whatever lanes work out for IG in the early stages, as they have drafted to, I really could see them just snowballing with this.
Yeah, completely with you on that one, and a lot of pressure on LGD to outperform the laning in the laning stage. It's not that they don't have really strong late game. It's more if IG get a lead, it's almost impossible to stop their 5-man. Even with the Infernal and the Darkseer wall, like the wall isn't really that great this game. There's nothing to create an illusion of that's particularly scary. No illusion-based carries, no auras to steal of any note, really. In fact, none of these heroes generally build for early auras. They just build tanky items like you see the Yule Scepter or the Death Prophet, then into a Bloodstone or a BKB. Making a copy of her isn't going to help you too much, and you can't clone the Tombstone, you can't take Liquid Fire away from Jakiro and use it against their towers, you can't take Exorcism. Like, Wall, to me, is kind of underwhelming this game, so
Yeah.
I feel if LGD don't at least hold their own in the laning stage, there's almost no hope barring a colossal IG throw, but let's see if they can have that good start. We'll introduce them now. In July, will be running as the safe lane Darkseer. Definitely the least famous member of this LGD squad. MMY, your accomplished support from the old DK days, now playing for LGD, his old squad as well. Sylar will be on the Lycan. We have Yao on the Viper that puts faith onto the support Warlock, and meanwhile, over on the Dire side, Cheesebug will be playing the support Undying. It's the dual lanes I suggested. June, the Jakiro going there with him as well. 430 will be the Brew mid. Early Stout Shield, not rushing the bottle, but we'll be going for it next. Luo, your carry Death Prophet. Saw him on support the other day when Chuan was playing carry, but Chuan is back in the support role. The experiment seems to have backfired for IG, and he'll be on the Shadow Shaman.
Yep, so starting things off, the aggressive tri-lane, or dual lane, sorry, is
Look at the damage that Faith took from just one Ether Shock and 3
yeah.
auto attacks. Man, that is a squishy hero early on.
Definitely is, but if you can just get a little bit of raw HP to work with, get a couple branches up or whatever, the Shadow Word is an amazing heal. Like one Tango Shadow Word and all that damage is negated, and only for 90 mana. So if he just has time to survive, it's actually really powerful, and they're just going to look to make sure that the fights don't end too early, or these early skirmishes, rather. But yeah, MMY does get this Invis Rune, is trying to mess with the pulling a little bit, but their big deal here is just get a quick and easy kill to shut down Luo early. If they can do that, yeah,
Oh, Chuan.
obviously they
He's in a bit far here. Not far enough, I guess. Yeah, sorry,
but
thought there was going to be a kill attempt.
oh, there's real potential here, actually. They have the Hex early on, and they can go with Poison Attack follow through. So I'm definitely right there with you. But I think the more important kill target is to shut down the Death Prophet, not just because she's a core hero, but she could be the anti-snowball that they need to shut down IG's momentum. If she doesn't have any durability, she's going to have a really rough time. And right now, he's actually just sitting here with a Basilius on, so I'm not sure what he's going to accomplish with that other than pushing out the lane. But if they can get him exposed, they can get the flank, they can get a pretty effective kill that would set things in motion for LGD.
The other thing that's going to be interesting in this matchup is also the fact that they do have HAL damage going their way. So it's something which could tip the lanes a bit for LGD if they can ever find a hero off on their own. For now, Sylar's mostly using it just to secure his own last hits in the mid lane, but you go forward a couple of minutes and that may be the difference maker. But as you can see, Brew is a very tough matchup for any melee here early on. Sylar getting his farm, but also taking a ton of harassment. Probably will have to go for an early bottle here just to sustain in the lane. We actually see it a decent amount on the mid Lycans. Not so much on Lycan in the side lanes, but I'm thinking that might be Sylar's choice. We'll see soon, though, as he's just got the gold for it if he wants to go that route. Gets clapped. 430's going to chase him out here. Doesn't have boots, but one more auto attack will do it. Solo kill. Oh, he gets fogged.
One
430
crit.
had him. If he didn't
One
get
crit is all I
fogged, he would have
needed.
killed him.
He had the guaranteed Drunken Brawler crit, but that was all. If he had actually gotten like an RNG-based one, that would have been just an insane first blood. And there's really nothing that Sylar could have done because, I mean, he has to still keep tabs on the CS. He has to take opportunities to farm under his tower, but we just see some massive control from Ferrari knowing his limits and going in deep. There is not really any rotation potential from LGD. That's another weakness of Warlock is what is he really going to do jumping to another lane? Like, unless you've gone past the tower, like all the way past the tower into the like southern area on the bottom lane, there's really nothing that the Warlock can do in a counter exchange. And Sylar out here in the middle of the lane past the river, no, that's not going to work for you, man. He's just going to get clobbered down by Ferrari with this massive advantage already in the lane.
Yeah, but he is going to start bottle crowing now, so that'll allow him to stay in a bit more. And he is leveling up his wolves. This can be used to deny the Brew runes. And Brew, one of those heroes that, with his incredibly high damage output early on, I think he uses runes better than most other mids that we see nowadays. He's just so tanky, and if he ever gets like a haste or an invis, get in range for a clap, that's probably your first blood. Everyone's rotating mid now. Chuan is wrapping around, and they're going in on Sylar. Probably going to be our first blood. Yeah, clap's there. They secure the kill. The people turnaround attempted. It does slow down Chuan while the Wolves do their work. They'll lose Chuan here, but 430 should be fine. He's pretty damn tanky. They had a Hex, but not enough mana for the combo follow-up Impale, and he'll make his way out in the end. So a 1-for-1, still a first blood going the way of IG.
So Faith is maxing upheaval here. He's actually going to be emphasizing that as much as possible, getting a lot of slow potential as we saw on the low armor Chuan, just taking tower hit after tower hit. And that's going to be their plan, is just kind of, since IG, obviously, they want to go and get huge amounts of aggression, eventually they're going to have to tower dive, and that's where they draw the line. If they're under the tower...
One top lane. Chasing it with Luo a bit here. Throws out the first Crypt Swarm. They can dive with auto attacks. No, they're not going to do it. There was no mana for secondary Crypt Swarm, or they would have gotten that kill top lane.
Damn. Now, one thing I want to talk about before I think we inevitably see it is going to be a really cool synergy between Lycan and Darkseer. The level 4 wolves with the crazy HP regen and invisibility plus Ion Shell. You M-click your target, you put the wolf behind them, and you just burn them alive if they're off the tower. The Ion Shell just chews through their health so quickly, and combining that with maybe like Upheaval, it seems like a silly thing, but it would be a very powerful but slow, painful
430.
death.
Yeah, caught out mid lane by the Impale. The Hex is going to follow this up. Upheaval used to prevent an easy retreat, but Tombstone's been dropped, and the zombies will start stacking up here. Sylar is under the tower, but with the haste turn, he's able to make his way out quickly. Fortunate for him. I think Upheaval might have killed him off otherwise. Now he'll munch some zombies. But yeah, I've seen it before, actually. Saw it a week ago. Exactly what you're talking about. The Iron Shell and Wolves, and It didn't end up doing that much for them, but it was extremely annoying in like one or two engagements. Like before the enemy team group, just the supports basically had to sit at their tower and wait for sentry wards to arrive. So it can be very powerful, but it's also pretty easily countered once the enemy team starts 5-manning.
Yeah, sure. Just one sentry ward down with every siege, but yeah, that takes a little bit of the gold gain that you get out of the tower right into like essentially it's like a siege cost. It's an investment opportunity there, where essentially you get 200 gold off of every tower, but you also spend 200 gold in the sentries just to get there. We're gonna see actually Shapeshift come out onto Cheesebug. He already popped the nice decay there, but can he get the second one off? He does not have pointed soul rip, and these last right clicks are gonna be enough.
Munched by Sylar. That is a lot of damage, and this is really the strength of LGD, is just using Hal and spreading the map. They want to slow IG down before they get their core items, as 430 will be denied a rune top lane. The Wolf will deny it, and he even wasted a bottle charge hoping to snag that. But yeah, they just need to keep on doing this, man. Keep the lanes pushed in, rotate their supports around, and do not let IG get to death ball status. So they're actually gonna, for the time being, wait on Exorcism, wait on the Blink Dagger for 430. There's still a lot of tools in the IG arsenal that need to be acquired before they can go for that push.
Yeah, but the longer they wait, of course, LGD are going to get their feet underneath them. Already Darkseer is at level 6. He does go for the early point and wall. I definitely agree with your point earlier where I think that the other three skills of Darkseer are going to be much more impactful. Vacuuming people further into the upheaval, as well as setting up some great combos with MMY's Lion. I think that's going to be really the defining aspect of this game. And of course, Surge can be very powerful against a lot of what IG brings right now. So yeah, I think it's going to be much more about Angelai's other skills and not the ultimates, but he picks it up early just in case that the 5-man does start earlier than he expects.
Well, Yao, for the time being, just sitting back mid, while IG start to cluster up a bit in this mid lane. Maybe going for smoke with Chuan. They have the Bruce split online now. They have Tombstone ready to rock and roll, and it's already level 2. So they didn't smoke Cheesebug. They're going to leave him visible mid while bottom lane June's going to be caught out. With upheaval here, he's going to have trouble fighting his way out. Cheesebug will rotate in. He drops the Tombstone. Sylar has ult, though, and he'll need to use it to get out of here. There was a lot of damage done to him, but Chuan's also smoked. He's rotating around, and if he gets off a shackle on Sylar, a clap will probably be enough to come. Clap, crit. No, not even needed. Just the zap from Chuan to end his life. As 430 continues chase, he can go for a... I was thinking he would go for a split as soon as MMY turned to Impale, but MMY would have just kept on running and hexed him and wouldn't have been possible. So he'll just back off in the end.
This Undying skill build is actually pretty interesting. It seems minute in differences, but essentially if you're going to want to max Tombstone, you only have 2 other skill points to use before you get your ultimate. So he puts both of them into Decay. A lot more times you'll see one in Decay, one in Soul Rip, and that's because Soul Rip is just extremely cost effective when you have the maximum units available. So in the Death Ball status, I kind of feel that might be more potent, but he's going to be lacking it for some time. Going for the Tombstone and the Flesh Golem. Soul Rip's not going to be a factor until level 8, but mid lane.
430 gets caught out by a Hex, and now, although he is split, can he really get in range to take advantage of it? They're kiting him nicely. They may even force the split out of him. No, not going to happen. While MMY tried to retreat the other direction, and he walks right into the flames of June. June, for now, getting the upper hand. And we'll get the kill there. Sylar is just going to split push, though. They're playing around the Lycan very nicely, man, I gotta say. Constantly just spreading the map, finding towers, and they're getting close to their ultimates. Faith nearly level 6. They've almost got the level 6 of Lion, though that's less important for their team fight. And your Darkseer of In July, level 8. So, considering how scary IG's 5-man looked, it feels like LGD may have just outmaneuvered them this laning stage.
Yeah, I mean, like, they did get the tier 1 bottom, but that's with the commitment of the Master Board. You almost always get a tower when you place them underneath at that kind of point in the game. So by getting 2 tier 1s in exchange, I really do think that LGD have a lot more going for them and at this point in the game. The Finger of Death will come out soon from MMY. A lot of burst nuke potential there, and that's where Death Prophet really has some issues. Like, Luo, right now, if you look at his items, he just doesn't have anything that gives him raw HP. Good sustain, but when it comes to raw HP, the Finger of Death is going to be his undoing.
Yeah, that burst damage is very scary, and also for 430, if he's not able to get off his ultimate, that can easily win a fight for LGD off the bat. IG, one of those lineups that's extremely strong when they're all grouped up, but they lose potency pretty rapidly if they're spread out. So I'm wondering if we're going to see them able to group up fully. For now, it's just Luo sieging away this top tower with level 4 Liquid Fire. This will drop. And it doesn't look like LGD want to contest. They've got the Infernal. If a tier 2 push is attempted, I think that's where they'll make their stand, but I had not seen that from IG. They're going to back off. While Sylar, meanwhile, was pushing in the mid lane, and he's just moving around beautifully. Every time you see IG looking to fight and push a lane, he's off in the other lanes, either finding pickoffs, drawing the creep wave back, or just going for the tower trade.
Yeah.
Very impressive Lycan so far.
That's one of the many ways to just counteract a deathball strat in general, is to get split push on the lanes that they're not committing to, and then they have to kind of break apart their whole lineup that's designed to 5-man. So good mentality there. Obviously, they first picked the Lycan, and IG were the ones that drafted into this kind of situation. But all the same, that because they're using these great delay tactics on top of it.
Quick hex from MMY. There was a blink clap, 430, completely turned on. He still gets up the split, but this at least buys LGD a little time to retreat. There was a boulder toss, but it's dodged by the Cyclone of the Brew. A little bit of miscommunication there between the Brew player and himself, but will end up mattering. Injulai caught out under the wall. He might be able to turn this one for his team. The Golem's still doing its work. They get a secondary kill. Injulai forced back. The zombie apocalypse simply insufficient as they finish off the tombstone. They'll end up losing 3 heroes. Wow. I thought they had the death ball, but they just got utterly outplayed in that fight. I mean, when Brew is cycloning the same target that he's boulder tossing, you know it's a rough fight for the team, but man, great reactions by MMY. This guy may be a Dota veteran and one of the oldest players of the scene, but he's a spry youngster, it seems, in spite of that.
Wow, yeah, still continues to impress here. Their reaction there, it could have been a disastrous fight if they didn't have time to react, time to get in the right position. But you saw how they strung that fight out. The ultis were all used, but everywhere else. Like there was an ulti on the front line of the fight, the back line of the fight, right down the middle, and really none of them in collaboration were able to accomplish all that much. And yeah, like you said, Yao being the Cyclone target was a little bit awkward there. And in the early stage, I thought that he actually was the best one for them to bring down since they committed the last word on a different hero. But yeah, they didn't have the focus they needed to. They couldn't bring anybody down because of Surge as well as that last word. And yeah, suddenly they just fall by the wayside as they're not really a team to disengage.
And IG now, they've gone back. Yeah, the Wolves are scouting them and burning them down a bit with the Ion Shell here. They'll even be forced to use a Hex, dropping a Sentry and the Tombstone, but he's still going to go down, I think. Cheesebug falls. They lose Tron as well. The plays from Injulai. And now they'll look to kill off this Tombstone. Well, meanwhile on the river, June tries to fight, but this Jakiro may go down too. He's starting to burn a bit. Surging, nah, he'll settle. Injulai will settle for the free double kill. Ion Shell Wolf, you mentioned it, man. And they weren't quick enough with the sentries there and couldn't kill him off in time.
This is the most fucking annoying thing in this entire game. He only has 340 MS. Those wolves are so damn fast, and just right-clicking, they hurt. But with the Ion Shell, it just feels hopeless. Like they always have to drop sentries, and now they're gonna get some offensive momentum on Sylar. But he just tries right-click his way. One right-click to get out of this ward. Chuan doesn't have the damage, and he commits his Mass Serpent wards off tower, which could be a critical error. No Roche, no tower kill. They're gonna rely heavily on this next exorcism to do anything.
Not to mention a potential team fight brewing is, with the wards down, it might not be a bad time for LGD to engage. Although, honestly, I feel like their strength is just not taking those fights. Unless it's a favorable position. Let IG push in, let them force the issue. You have the Lycan, you have the Darkseer. Split push for days, and it seems that will be the plan. Sylar heading bottom, 3 heroes rotating top, and with no wards, IG, as you mentioned, they have Liquid Fire, but it's just such a damn slow Roche, aside from Death Prophet ult and... Well, Luo has gone for... I wanted to mention this before that fight broke out, but yeah, he went for a Midas on the Death Prophet. IG feeling like... That's basically them saying, like, our whole strategy has failed. Now we just need to hope that we can win this late.
I almost feel like that's going to set them back even further than it gives them potential.
Is this a game-losing Midas pickup, do you think?
Sorry, well, we'll see the fight break out first.
It's a strong statement, I suppose. Infernal used to counter-initiate. Right as the Brew Split comes out, with the Macro Pyre here... IG have a lot of AoE damage, but they're not finishing heroes off quickly, and it's just the Golem charging forward. These Brewlings feel just so insignificant in comparison to it. Drives them back. The Ion Shield Wolves doing their work. Now the split ends, and the Golem persists. Caught out by an Ice Path. It'll be slowed down a bit. The Wolf blocks are nice from Sylar. Good plays, but only needs to keep this immolation damage going. Ferrari about to go Invis. Is it going to be soon enough? He's got to juke this one. Ion Shell wearing off soon. Vacuum just missed by Injulai. Inches off the mark at 430. May live to fight another day, but the damage...
Interesting juke pattern there too, because like he doesn't see the wolves, so he has to like assume they're going to keep going down that path. So he just stands still on the side and finds that to be his best opportunity to escape, and he does. But if he didn't find that really lucky rune, he was dead to rights. I mean, the Blink Dagger constantly off cooldown because of the Ion Shell. But going back to your question about the Midas, I don't necessarily think that just committing the whatever 2,000 gold to Midas guarantees a loss, but the mentality behind it is a losing strategy. The fact that Luo is churning his gold into late game potential on an
Like,
early game lineup and lacking in general durability. I talked about this earlier because of the Basilius and the Arcanes, but the Midas is like twofold. It's the HP of this hero is 853, and a Viper Strike and a Finger of Death will be almost enough to kill him. Like, he's just so damn squishy.
Death Prophet, obviously, we've seen does scale very hard into late game, but really nobody else in IG does, and that's really the concern. So I just want to expand on your point that it's an early game lineup. Yeah, they've got Death Prophet, they have Brew, who's good for mid game, and the rest of these heroes who are okay for certain stages of the game, but Undying falls off super hard, especially against Lycan, who can just right click down the tombstone, or just ignore it if he wants, since he's hasted in fights. Undying falls off. Jakiro generally falls off as well. A lot of magic damage, but that only helps you if there's lockdown to make it connect. And they have very little. They have Hex, they have Shackles. That's going to be it. So
Yeah.
I'm with you that I don't think IG have this late, especially not with a Lycan and a Darkseer having this kind of a powerful start. And I would almost say it's a game losing Midas from Luo, but there's still that potential for throw. IG still have a strong lineup for now. It's just a very bizarre pickup given that now is the time when they should be trying to win fights.
I love this Blink Dagger from Faith, though. This is like the opposite of that. That's just getting in the right position to make things happen so that they can't have any advantage to cement. They're going to go for the Roche play here. We'll see if they can get in position to contest that. The Wolves aren't scouting it, though. And they saw people moving into the pit. So the Wolves are coming in just a little bit late. They figure they'll die if they go too early. But either way, it seems like they want to do something about this. At least make it annoying. Oh, in July.
In July, caught out and doesn't have a surge to get out of here quickly. The wards now drop Tombstone, everything thrown onto LGD. And without the Golem, they really shouldn't have been looking to fight that one so hard. I think much better you just split push, you let them have the Aegis, and you just take objectives and farm instead, man.
Yeah.
As strong as they are with Golem, they are not that strong without it. And LGD overestimating their position in the game. To me, that's a very avoidable fight.
Oh, absolutely. It was an unforced error entirely. They could have just scouted with the Wolves. They moved in as if they could go for like some crazy vac wall upheaval play, but IG are heroes. They have spells. They have a way to respond to that. They did, of course, do just that. So it was a 2v5 play. Generally a bad idea. And in this case here, it's just going to be 2 unnecessary deaths. The Roche will fall. Harai picks up the Aegis as well as the point booster.
IG 5-manning now. They do have the Aegis, and we'll see if they can make something happen with it. Interesting to give it to 430, as Luo is still pretty squishy on the Death Prophet, but we'll look for the tower deny mid. Ice Path will find Sylar, Golem to counter-initiate this, and Faith now channeling upheaval, and they're fighting in it. In the vac, the macro used to cover the path of retreat, but an Impale will finish off Cheesebug, and Sylar, trying desperately to finish off that Tombstone, will succeed in doing so, now retreats. Yao, standing strong against this Primal Split, and in fact looking to kill off the Brew. They had their Aegis.
Oh.
If he dies once, he's probably going down twice here. Aegis on 430. Oh yeah, he's going. He's dead once. He's gonna die again.
And you can't blink out of this. With the Iron Shell ticking that fast, there's no way to blink. And that means the reincarnate.
They got
gets a nice
finger.
clap,
Finger
but
him. Come on, Normal Wife. You don't need to, but it'll be satisfying. No, he's a good Lion player, and he's not gonna waste a long cooldown ultimate.
Professionalism.
Yeah, staying eyes on the prize. Well, now they're pretty screwed. I'm not seeing where this game goes. There was a TP immediately canceled by Faith, so hey, IG gets something here. They have a wasted teleport scroll on a enemy support, but they might even have to drop wards if LGD want to push in. And LGD have all the options now. We've seen they can win team fights. We know they can split push extremely effectively, and it's pretty clear they're going to have the late game advantage. Like, it's IG who just have one option, and that's to force these fights, but every fight is just ruined by the Golem.
Yeah. And that's, I think, the inspiration behind the Warlock draft is it's essentially, if you have Primal Split, he has Golem. And that's where you have the most confidence in your team fight, but you also feel this threat. You feel this overwhelming presence of, okay, if we go to commit to this fight, we can't disengage from upheaval, and that Golem just is absolutely destructive. And honestly, like, Diffusal Blade is too expensive of an item to actually guarantee in an early game lineup. So we're going to see a nice gank on Yao. This is actually going to be a pretty huge pickoff for them, but we'll see what comes of it in the next few moments here. They have to make sure this exorcism counts. Haste on the Death Prophet, clearing out the creep waves. They need this tier 2 bottom at the very least.
They'll push in. Exorcism still about half, a little more like a third duration remaining. Should be enough with the Liquid Fire and the wards. Yeah, they'll get a tier 2 for this, but LGD are on the smoke. They want to come
They
in
have
for the
fortify.
backstab. They have
They
a
have
they have a
wall,
level
they have
2 wall.
upheaval.
They have
June's
back.
dead.
Upheaval's being prepped, and IG are about to get trapped. Vacuumed actually out of the upheaval. Not the best placement. Still the follow-up's fantastic. Cheesebug brought down quickly. They got off a great shade stun there. LGD did. Vac into Impale. Perfect combination, and now they'll happily chase down some more. Losing MMY though. 430 and Schwan might be able to live through this aggression. And yeah, the zombies will help to cover the rest of IG as they retreat out. But they hold the tower, they'll clear out the wards, and IG again lose their Death Prophet. That Midas already...
He still wants Siler. He's got the split, but
Really?
is it going to be enough for the
This
Shadow
is like a
Wave?
desperation
Can't
split.
trust him.
He's like, gotta get something big right now. But Upheaval is gonna slow him down a little bit as he tries to retreat out. And he's not gonna get anything. Yao's too taking. He's trying to focus the tower. This might just be a GG split. I'm feeling like if he dies, they're just gonna call GG. And, well, they killed the Earth Panda!
The Wind Panda lived.
Why kill the Earth Panda? Just let him return to it. They just gave 430 a get out of jail free card there. I don't think the tower would have killed it off in time, man. Not if they weren't auto-attacking it, but maybe they didn't realize the Wind Panda had escaped.
Yeah, I was very low when it had gotten out, so... In either case, that was... Even if he doesn't die there, he loses that cooldown. He gets nothing. There was no chance of killing a last-worded Siler in that situation. It was just desperation. He is completely on tilt or just not caring anymore. And in either case, that's a losing mentality. The psychology is broken. And, I don't know. If Lou was on my team, I'd be pissed at his items. But I really, no matter what, there's a lot of things that went wrong for IG this game. And Ferrari getting picked off is just one on the list.
Yeah, he's frustrated now. The Golem's going to help them lock him in place. He tries to clap and run, but even with the zombies working inside, they still got Iron Shield damage to try and finish him off. Then they back him down to the low ground. Sensational Darkseer play by In July. Mally, you watching this, buddy? I was just talking to Mally, and he was saying In July was not performing. But I gotta say, after this game, Blaze, you can't question him. He's been a beast for LGD. Absolutely sensational Darkseer performance.
Yep, and it's all set up by the Warlock too. Like the wall is 10 times more powerful inside Upheaval, and the vacuum works extremely well with it. It's a very smart draft, and it's one that I've actually considered a lot myself, but the problem is making this support Warlock work, because you can't really get a core Darkseer and a core Warlock and still expect your team to have a lot of damage on top of that. But in this case, putting it as a support, putting it on Faith, it works great as long as you can have the skill behind it. You have to be a very skilled player to have an early game presence with a support Warlock, and Faith did. He made the rotations, he countered the dives that IG made, and a couple of errors turned into a lost early game, which in the end turns into a losing game in general. Like, I know we try to keep it hype, we try to keep it, oh, what's going to happen next, but right now IG, they're not playing a winning strategy, and they're not playing right as far as just general... You can tell they're on tilt. You just know that they're not going to be able to pull forward unless something huge shifts.
And they're just going to just pile down mid. Like, you know what? We just got to keep on trying, man. Keep on bludgeoning ourselves on this mid lane. Well, maybe they'll back off. They are waiting on Luo to arrive, who's now picked up an Ogre Club. But that's at the time that the Lycan's got a Necro 3. And this Tombstone is just... This is where the Tombstone becomes almost useless. Like, Lycan can just kill it in a matter of seconds. And even with the zombies, we've seen that they're not that strong, honestly. Like,
they've got Shapeshift, they've got Surge. They can maneuver against them. All these slows, they mean a little bit, but they don't main archetype.
Hex from the high ground, Insta-Finger! No Tombstone for you, sir, says Momoya. Fantastic play. Now the wall. The back again. They slow down Schwan and Luo. They can't make their way out. It's only Luo left standing with his ultimate in this level of the fight. But they got 3 kills in exchange. Maybe with the Primal Split they can get more. Oh, time for buybacks now. The Brain and the Warlock. The Primal Split's there. They drop you out back to Earth. And it seems in the end, not killing off Luo right away actually turns the fight a bit. Any chance that they could push in on the back of this? So, Cyclone onto Faith. And that's just going to be it. They managed to finally kill the Lycan, man. And they didn't have the Golem. I mean, that is the key here. If the Golem's up, IG get absolutely wrecked that fight. But without it, they can at least hold their own and take a tower.
Yep, and there was the buyback from the Warlock, and he can't really do much now. Like, he's just going to chill back in the base. Along with that, like, MMY out of mana, like, they couldn't respond to the subsequent push. So the lack of focus on Luo. I love the fact that they were able to burst down Cheesebug so fast. I mean, taking down an Undying before he casts a single spell, obviously a great way to start a fight, but in the end, they still are looking for their wombo. They still need their combo, and they still need Faith's ultimate. So As long as they're relying on that, IG still have a window. They still have the opportunity to find those openings. I didn't actually think they were going to exploit that. It seemed like it's just kind of screw this game type all mid play, but no, it was actually perfectly timed to make sure that they won't be subject to the golem and subject to the damage that it provides.
Yeah, and well, Golem's up again. Level 2 now. And they're also starting to see points of Fatal Bonds. That has such nice synergy with this Vac Infernal.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to cast it very often, though. Like, he's obviously under-prioritized it, and it's because the range, if you just hover over it, and the cast animation, compared to Upheaval, which is just, like, almost twice the range, you're generally not going to get the chance to cast Fatal Bonds. Like, let's say we buff Warlock to allow him to cast Fatal Bonds while channeling a spell, then we're going to see it cast. But in this case, like, it's very, very rare that you're going to see it make that much of an impact in a supportive sense. Like, obviously the Blink helps, but he doesn't want to be in the fight either.
Yeah, I mean, you can Golem just quickly Fatal Bonds and then start channeling Upheaval, but it will just depend on positioning if he sees a good opening, and it is only level 1 for now, so not quite as strong as it will be later on in this game. For now, LGD are on the smoke, and IG are rotating the other direction. Looks like they may dodge this gank.
Yeah, I guess that'll work out favorably for them, just avoiding the surprise factor there. And for those that really like Fatal Bonds, I'm not knocking the spell at all. I honestly think it is, mathematically, it's the most powerful spell in the game. More powerful than any ultimate, but the bottom line is it's the infrastructure of the spell, the backbone of it, the range, the cast animation that makes it very difficult to commit to the fight. And although it has theoretically the best potential, it's just not better than channeling Fatal Bonds, or sorry, channeling the Upheaval.
Yeah, if you have someone else to lock them down, it's easier, like Chronosphere or Magnus RP.
Yeah.
There's a Warlock, there's a Ward Trap dropped as MMY will get picked off, then 430 leaps in. LGD suddenly find themselves in a predicament, but the wall looks to turn this. IG driven back. They have managed to take down the tier 3 tower, though, and they keep on pushing in. Yao gets caught by an Ice Pet. That's trouble for him. They're going to lose their Viper, and it seems they're lacking the follow-up damage after that initial Vac wall. Now they're getting a bit tankier on the side of IG, and LGD forced to go back in, but it's difficult. Sylar can't find his way into this fight. Now he's walking in as a melee wolf. He doesn't, well, he's always melee, but as a non-ultimate form wolf, I should say. Doesn't have the move speed to chase this too much. So Injali will buy back. He'll back a second time, and IG finally cleared out that first lane of Rex. They've actually managed to do it, Blaze. 430 goes down. Chuan, TP'd out just in time. Luo, not so lucky. They lose too. LGD just didn't have that great team fight.
Yeah, the death of the lion before he gets a finger off allows the Death Prophet to survive for almost her entire exorcism, and that's pretty insane. He's now actually used this Midas Gold and the few towers and now racks that they've taken to build up Yules plus BKB. So the Death Prophet actually does have some durability here, and in this position, if you don't get a finger very early on in the fight against her or against other key target they have to take down early, then they're going to be able to survive just long enough for her damage to really kick in. She's level 16. Her exorcism spirits do a lot of work, and on top of that, Ferrari's Primal Split was incredible. Being able to do so much work with the Aghanim's abilities, the extra clap, the extra crit. They're the ones that do the damage, and yeah, before Ferrari was kind of limited in what he could accomplish in a single team fight, but post Aghanim's, IG are rejuvenated in their attempt to take this game away. I mean, like, obviously we were calling it as if there were limitations to their...
Faith caught out. There's a macro pyre from June, but he'll just heal himself up.
But obviously we're calling it like there were some severe limitations and hamstrings on their late game, and that's very true, but all the same, IG have taken what they can out of this level 16 timing between the Brew and the Death Prophet, and they've actually gotten some great results out of it. Forcing aggression from LGD.
They're surging in July in, and now the Golem form will be popped as they try to slow down this initiation with Upheaval. There's a back, wall, Impale combination, killing off one instantly, looking for June as well. Sylar now chasing Luo. The wards got dropped though, and Sylar almost instantly dies to the Death Prophet. He's chased out by the Ghost. Will the last tick come in? Don't get the last hit. Luo lives with 8 HP. 8 HP. Just stun him. Damn it, they got the kill. That's what they needed. A 2-for-1 thus far. But remember, Injali bought back earlier. If they lose him now, it'd be costly. Yao was all the way over in the middle of nowhere in the tree line. That's a very fast piglet. Injali charging it. This will force out the buyback from the Undying. With no exorcism, IG feeling a little bit lackluster in terms of their damage output. And now they turn. Another fantastic impale by MMY. The TP out will be secured. And everybody looks to retreat. Blink clap on MMY. Oh, he might pay for this. Has a 4-staff soon. And he'll just TP out. He's done the math, and well, only Ice Path could stop this, barely catching him. He did the math wrong, but he was close.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a game! What a
Yeah.
game!
This is insane. So I was going to go for some push in here, and this is going to try to disrupt them from going for Roche right now. With just these three heroes, they have the potential to take Roche, because as we mentioned, the Liquid Fire, the Drunken Haze, the Brawler, it's going to make it impossible for Roche to actually damage IG, but obviously it takes some time. So as long as Sylar puts pressure on the mid lane, they can't just kind of sit in the pit for a minute and a half to bring down this big boy, and instead it's going to be a gradual progression, no objectives taken, and yeah, LGD, they can afford to kind of draw even on a fight like that because the game goes longer and the creep wave is all pushed out. Like, they're not going to take any losses off of that. There's only potential gains. So in general, right now, they're just dragging the game further. They're getting more...
I want to point out, Blaze, sorry to interrupt you, but Chuan almost has an Aghanim Scepter on his Shaman.
Wow.
Or sorry, a refresher to go with his Aghanim Scepter. I mean, if he gets double wards, and they allow IG to get to the space, I think they just lose by default, because they're going to lose at least the tier 3, probably Rex, every time the double wards are dropped. With Exorcism there, Liquid Fire, LGD have to force fights outside the base as soon as this is out. And we had
and that was
Roche
what they did last time. We'll see if they can do it again.
Golem was dropped from the high ground. Faith now channeling upheaval to try and slow everyone down, but the fight's not really happening in the pit. It's actually a bit south of the pit, and the rest of IG will be absolutely fine. They fight their way through the Cycloning up the Viper, while Sylar just kind of runs around in circles looking for an opening in. They'll end up getting off one kill. Now backing two, back into the wall. They've killed off only the Undying, and still the Death Prophet stands strong for the time being. Now the Ghosts return. They're a bit lacking on damage. The Primal Split's about to end. Yao dropping low to this, though. Doesn't have that much durability. The zombies doing the work. Still sticking strong through this fight. Now surrounded by literally a pack of zombies. It's got to be like 12 or 14 of them. And now the chase is on in July. The Tombstone despawns. The Roche ended up going down. Age is picked up by Luo. Chuan retreating with about 100 HP.
Yeah, he had 50 from that wolf. If there was a crit in there, he would have had a very sad day ahead of him. But yeah, in the end, that's huge. I mean, IG, we were counting them out a little bit, but the last 10 minutes have completely turned the game 180, where they had no momentum and it was just kind of flatlining. I mean, you can probably see on the graphs too. It was all moving the way of LGD.
Look at that plummet, man. That is a 12k, 14k gold swing over the past 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, that high point, LGD seemed unstoppable, but the problem is they're up against some heroes with some insane potential in the right circumstances. IG obviously weren't finding the right circumstances for the first 20 minutes of the game, but since then they've used the Exorcism in full and the Primal Split in full with Aghanims every single fight. And we even saw, like, Luo, he dropped down to 30% HP and then got healed back up to full via the Exorcism. Like, these are still extremely powerful heroes, mechanically speaking, and in this metagame in particular. So when it comes down to it, if they don't have the focus, if they can't kill the DP, her BKB is getting down to 7 seconds now, but if they can't kill the Death Prophet early in the fight, then he and Ferrari are just going to be able to demolish them.
Well, they're going to go in now, and they're going to look to kill off June immediately. Fingers there, and they'll lose their Jakiro. But it's only a Jakiro, not the biggest loss. Throwing Sylar up into the air, he'll be forced to BKB and retreat out. 430 was threatening to jump in, and he's still chasing, like he wants to go a bit further than this. The Wolves kind of scouting things out. The rest of IG will safely back off as well, and well, we'll form very low cooldown at this point, so pretty much no investment there, aside from the Finger of Death, and anytime you can use that to get a kill, it'll be worth it. They're trying to jump in on Injuly. If they get off of Yules, this is trouble. Oh yeah, he's in trouble. No blink out for him. Then the Hex to come through. They can follow this up with the Shackles, and they're going to lose probably their most farm hero at this point.
Faith?
10 to 3 and 12. They also lose Faith on the back end of the engagement. What's the buyback status? Oh no, don't tell me they've thrown it. Darkseer's the buyback, but there's no buyback. A Warlock for 40 seconds. There's a glyph. They'll try and slow this onslaught down. They're going to have to blow the Darkseer buyback. No way they've got a minute and change to go. Now exactly 60 seconds. IG are forcing it, though. And they have no Darkseer for 25. Onto the high ground they go. Blink, but there's a
nice
quick Hex on 430. They don't have the Finger. Impale was timed pretty nicely. With the Hex, he can't evade. He goes down. No burst split. No
That's
burst
huge.
split. They might have to back.
Run. They have to run now. They don't have to worry about the upheaval, but MOY with the blink.
If he dies, he's not going to come back with Exorcism. Is he going to go down low? He'll fall. Aegis expended. Now they can turn this one around. It might go back the other way. LGD fighting strong here as Luo just pops a BKB. Tries to survive. It's the Chuan wards that might save them yet. Yao driven off the fight down to 50 HP. Ice Path barely missing him as he heads up. Then the Golem. The turn. The turn is strong with LGD. They'll back him back into a upheaval. Continue pounding into him with Sylar's ult, but he's low. He's got to pop his Necrobook here. His hero can't fight any longer. Even with the Golem, they just don't have the firepower. It's up to these Necro minions. June getting pursued out. The Golem, the summons have to win this one. Team of Necromancers, man. They kill off 3. They pop the Aegis. They hold the line. It's a Darkseer and a Lion buyback to save that, though.
Finger so bad, but Chuan's gonna...
Oh, who's faster? MMY, it's a quick draw, and MMY wins it. Impale. Now the Hex can come through. He stays back so Chuan can't disable him. He's looking for a... So there you go. Jams it in. Oh, what an absolute cataclysmic engagement. LGD. Stand and deliver.
This game has actually become extremely insane from the two sides here. All of these really clutch plays. It wasn't even like there were mistakes leading up to this. It was just minor oversteps and one teamfight being stronger than another at a certain period of time. But now they're fairly even when it comes to the teamfight, and it all comes down to execution, which is just what makes it that much more fun. Luo with the Aegis, not able to do much with his second life as they just demolished him with his first. But yeah, I mean... IG are still pulling out some really cool stops. They still are doing a hell of a lot of damage, and LGD don't have that much sustain. The mech went down pretty early from Yao getting picked off, and the Shadow Words only come out every once in a while with the fight not even starting with the Warlocks. So they hold the high ground. It's pretty immense when you consider the fact that the Aghanim's Refresher is still up on that Shadow Shaman, and it's going to plague them for the rest of the game.
What a game this has turned into. It looked like it was just going to be an awful fail for IG, to be honest. I mean, they were down a lot for their lineup. Like, to be down that much when you're running Undying, Jakiro, even the Brew to some extent, a hero that generally struggles later on against a BKB, hard right-clicking carry like the Lycan, but, man, just some of those fantastic fights they had. Now they're going to look for a little more. They're bringing up the whole squad to the mid lane and looking for a push here. And so they go in. That's the question. They've got Exorcism ready. Doing a quick inventory of buybacks for both teams. We've got a buyback on the Warlock. And that's it for LGD. Triple buyback up on IG. They might not have an Aegis, but they do have some extra bodies to throw at this base. The only issue will be that right now they've got no BOTs. And I'm not sure if anyone has the money for them. Yeah, Boots of Travel could be purchased on Death Prophet. Probably not going to be useful since she'll probably use Exorcism with their first life. And beyond that, there's not much. If they'd let Chuan get these double wards down in the base, though, it's going to be trouble. It's going to be big trouble if that happens.
But he doesn't have a blink, so he's got to just waddle on up there, and they will not let him do that. Luo's going to be the frontline buffer to try to create this space for him.
There's your Tombstone to start this now. Yulzing up one in the air. The Shivas comes out for both teams. A bloody blue mess of a fight. Chuan gets isolated. He dies on the backside. He didn't get off a single set of wards. There's no Shaman wards, and that might be the key to their teamfight success as Sylar runs rampant, rampaging through the back of this fight, but taking too much damage from Ghosts. He can't chase any longer. The Impale of MMY, a rare miss for him. He's been on point almost all game. Golem still pursuing out low. Can't finish the job. Well, they Cyclone up the Darkseer in the air. Faith drop down, back down to Earth as the Brew split ends. But 430's a full HP. They'll use a single buyback here on the Lycan. They still hold the line, but this is an expensive hold. They've lost 3. They had to buy back on a 4th, and for IG, they only lost 2.
Yeah, I'm getting chills from these team fights, man. These are absolutely insane. Chuan is like the orc from Helm's Deep with the bomb strapped to his back, just running for the wall, and they're trying to shoot him down. But now we see the fight break back out. They have to force them back. Shivas
now used. They have to get something big out of this. That's a double buyback, and it's their 4th buyback in the past 5 minutes, and they just can't seem to make anything done here. Exorcism is coming in 50 seconds. Chuan is respawning. That orc with bomb strapped to his back is going right back down mid. And this time he's probably about to deliver his payload because there's no Golem. There's no Warlock ult. There's no wall even. They'll deny the tower mid. Deny IG some gold, but IG doesn't need gold. They need buildings. They need structural damage here, and that's what they're looking for. Exorcism, 25 seconds off. Chuan charging through the Radiant jungle as Yao tries desperately to hang on for dear life here. 5 heroes of IG about to re-emerge in the mid lane, and they're coming. Chuan's getting close, man. He's real close. They should honestly all just suicide in to set up Chuan for these wards. Maybe not quite suicide, but they've got some buybacks here. Blink, and Chuan gets up 1 set. He needs that secondary set to go out. Can he refresh? He does it! He does it! Double wards! Exorcism! Everything just being shoveled at this LGD pace. Good luck defending now. Too much, man. Far too much shit shoveled their way. They just can't stand against all this crap. MMY now clapped. critted and smacked down by 430. IG, they can't just win a normal game, right? The normal way to win this game would be to just take an early lead and snowball it. But they've got to be on the brink of collapsing and then come charging back. What a thrilling turn for them.
Absolutely incredible. The deeping wall is broken. Where the hell is Gandalf when you need him? They're going for the tier 4s now. IG are about to take this game. That lead was so high, but now seems so small. You remember the goal graph from earlier, and it looked like it was a gigantic fall, but they've fallen so far since then. LGD, they're desperate.
And they're just impaling themselves on the IG lineup at this point. Ingelai will charge in. There's no Golem for 1 second. Now it's dropped. It's maybe enough in time to turn this. They get off with 1 kill, looking for the second. The Golem in pursuit. Chuan barely surviving.
Fatal
Will
Bonds.
live. The illusion could finish him off. Oh, yeah, Fatal Bonds does the trick. 430 now. BKB trying to retreat. The evasion strong for him. He'll make his way out. They get a couple of counter kills, but crucially, no objectives off of this. And Blaze, they had to buy back again on the Darkseer, and he dies back again. This guy, I just want to remind everyone, was at one point this game 10, 2, and 14. And he's now 11, 7, and 20.
How far the mighty have fallen. Jeez, this game. And it's not even their fault entirely. Like, it's not a throw. It's not like, oh, somebody's farming too far and gets picked off, and it's a silly loss. No, this is IG just putting everything together, positioning themselves well, and making their ultimates count. They had such strong potential, and they've maximized it in almost every fight since the turn of the game, and it's turned into a hell of a one. Now it's LGD that are desperate. They have to go in. They have to make this count. They're without the Darkseer, but with 4 racks weighing on them, they need at least a Roche now.
This might be an all-in Gambit kind of situation. Maybe if they could snipe this Courier, that would be big. Ah, too late. Hearts onto Luo. It's heading back towards the base with a Hyperstone now picked up. And they'll get an Aegis, but if Sylar claims this, like, the first time he runs in, he just melts. He really can't run next to Death Prowl for more than a second or two, and, well, this will be contested. Luo marches in. He's slowed down for the time being by Upheaval. The stun from low ground to high ground as MMY tries to retreat. He's dropping pretty low to the Ghost. Sylar will BKB. He runs out of the pit. The Brew split forces him back. The Panda overwhelming the Wolf, but they will try and focus Luo. Unfortunately, self-cyclones and still lives, still at half HP. Pursuit continues. On to Yao they go. Back to the Viper. Now it's the Flying Manta Ray's turn to be punished by the Panda. Smacked down by 430, who's emerged as a real presence in the late game for IG, or towards the late game anyway. Now Cheesebug arrives. He's going to run in. Wall gets dropped, but it only covers the path of retreat, and they're not retreating. All right, now they are. Now they're running, but it's only to chase down MMY. It's the hunt down in July as well. GG. G freaking G. IG. What a comeback it was. They'll wipe the floor with LGD. And the throne will explode, denying them the bliss of taking that one out themselves. But they're now 3-2, Blaze. They're now 3-2.
They pull ahead, and that was a dead heat between the two teams. IG really do that win, and if this is the beginning of their comeback swing, the team getting back together and really shifting forward, I'm glad to have witnessed it firsthand, and that was just absolutely incredible. IG making it happen. Luo looked so weak in the early game, but the Midas, the one that would question, it paid off in the end. The game went long enough, and it gave him enough to build up this massive death profit that was able to commit to the ball as hard as anyone else. And as awesome as it was to see MMY just light up Cheesebug every other fight, it might have not been the best point of focus because there were so many other heroes that just did so much work. Cheesebug was just happy to be involved, but he was the aura carrier. He was the guy who heals them on the back end. He didn't really get into the thick of things in a single fight, but they didn't need him. They had 4 carries in this one, and my goodness, Invictus Gaming, they really just pulled the rabbit out of the hat. They swung it back, and defying all odds, they take this incredible game.
And with that, an absolutely sensational comeback from IG. IG is complete. They are now 3-2 at Starladder Season 10. If you want to watch this VOD, if you came in late, it is well worth watching from beginning to end. The beginning's a little slow, but trust me, the payoff is great. YouTube.com/BeyondTheSummitTV for the VOD of this one. And of course, if you want to hear more from Blaze, at Blaze Castillo, Twitter for him, at LD Dota for me. More importantly, more Chinese Dota after a brief break. Guys, Starladder Season 10 continues in about 15 minutes. Stay with us.